Hey guys, CJ here, and wow, what a big episode from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. A really busy episode, tons of plot and character development, pretty much advancing every storyline in this show. I'm just gonna dive right in. So strap yourself, check yourself before you wreck yourself, because I'm gonna go pretty quickly. So let's just get started. Now, this episode opens with Coulson and Hunter on the trail of Skye. So this is what we're gonna talk about first. So they're on the trail of Skye, and it's really interesting because seeing as their situation is the most dire, it's really interesting that their storyline is the one that has the most humor. They've got tons of humor, particularly from Hunter. He's easily the most quotable character on this show, and it's because of him I'm going to introduce a new segment towards the end of reviews, so stay tuned for that. So their hunt actually leads them back to the cabin where Skye was located before the S.H.I.E.L.D. team kind of found her and Gordon took her to safety. And here there's a great scene where real S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of onto them, and Coulson uses a 21st century Howling Commandos kit, those are his words, to defeat the anti-S.H.I.E.L.D. team. Holographic playing cards. And this, of course, leads us back to the quotables, but they're unfortunately captured by the real S.H.I.E.L.D., but this also leads to another great scene where in the C-130, there's no backup, no one's coming for them until the ramp is slowly raising and a hand stops it, and you hear the whirring gears of the plane trying to struggle against this incredibly strong person, and for a second I wondered who it was, and then I guessed it, and luckily this was right. Deathlock is back up. Mike Peterson is back, and of course he's also back up, but better than ever. I mean, he really looks much better in costume than he did last season. But he also seems to have more enhancements. He's even speaking more kind of bionically. He's speaking in, kind of long. There's no contractions, no nothing. He's speaking very much kind of like a cyborg, which is really cool. But he looks great. Very excited to have him back. That was the big question of this season, was where is Deathlock? Because he's been on the run since last season's season finale. So moving on to another storyline, Skye, meanwhile, is in the inhuman colony of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is casually referred to as Afterlife by Skye's transitioner Lincoln. Now, S.H.I.E.L.D. is a safe haven. It's a way station of sorts, kind of an inhuman bus station where people wait. They wait to be evaluated for the shot at becoming an inhuman like Skye. It's a very careful and slow process that takes years, a process that Skye completely jumped. And this is really great. One of the highlights of this is this Inhuman Storyline. We find out that the process is not usually done with a diviner in a Kree temple, and that her transformation is irreversible either way, but she did it the old-fashioned way, apparently. But that's the real highlight for this. The Inhuman Storyline is being handled incredibly well by the writing team. I absolutely love it. I mean, they're loving it too. You can really tell they're having fun with it, really enjoying writing it. And so this storyline is, of course, all about figuring out Skye's gift. That's the gear. It's like, what can you do? Because they don't really know. It turns out that Lincoln is actually sort of a Marvel version of Inhuman's Cole McGrath. He can manipulate electrical charges. And so he actually, there's a scene that's very Cole McGrath-like where he actually causes Skye to hover using static electricity. Now, it turns out that both Cal and Raina are also in S.H.I.E.L.D., leading to a confrontation with Skye. Not with Cal, with Raina, though. And it's completely different situations, and you can see this is probably because of how Cal is actually biologically enhanced rather than Terrigenesis enhanced. And Cal is being kept completely locked up, but Raina is actually being treated fairly well. And the biggest twist here, Skye's mother is alive. Yes, she's alive somehow, and she's going to be Skye's guide. And it doesn't seem like Skye knows that she's her mother, which is really interesting, but hopefully that'll come out at some point. It's really, how is that possible moment? How is Skye's mother alive? I don't know. I thought she was dead, but what a twist! So, of course, the final storyline is back at S.H.I.E.L.D. HQ. Gonzalez and his anti-S.H.I.E.L.D. are busy recovering from the failed attempt to capture Skye, and it turns out that Calderon didn't die last week, but he's in critical condition. And we also get a better look at May's past, and it turns out the cavalry incident in Bahrain was May having to put down a power, but more than that, we don't know. And that is actually what we're going to be finding out next week. I'll talk about that in a little bit. The storyline also splits up the recently reunited Fitz and Simmons, with Simmons doing another 180 and going to work with Gonzalez, and Fitz leaving S.H.I.E.L.D. as a cause of that. Fear not, though, not all is as it seems. As Fitz leaves, it turns out they work together to smuggle the real Fury toolbox out. The ship is alive! And Fury's toolbox is actually the center of Gonzalez's efforts. It turns out it's vibranium. And that's really like the biggest reference there. Not a whole lot happens on that front, but that's it. And Gonzalez, like I said, I have a hard time rooting against him. He sounds too good to be true. I mean, he seems like a really genuinely good guy, and I want him to be a good guy, but I have a feeling he won't be. And if the show actually finds a way to make him an alright guy, then I'll be very pleased. And now for my final segment, top quotes of this episode. Now, most of these are from Hunter, so let's just get started. Gonzalez, the Love Boat Captain, fantastic. That's, of course, Hunter. This next one is Hunter as well. One man, that's not reinforcements, that's a grave digger. Absolutely great. Do you play cards from Coulson? Another one from that scene was just fantastic. And at some point you might have mentioned backup was a lethal cyborg. That's the final Hunter one. However, one of my favorite ones is just the very punny when Lincoln is levitating Skye. Sky's the limit. Very bad pun, but very great line. And so next week is going to be huge. We'll finally discover the mystery of the cavalry as May's past is going to be 100% revealed. Also, Skye and her mother work on her powers, and Coulson heads for a showdown with Grant Ward. As good as this episode was, I've got a very good feeling the next one could be even better, which is going to be tough to beat because I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10. Yep, a 9. Couldn't really find a downside for this one. It was fantastic. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next week for another review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh hey! I hope you guys enjoyed what you just saw. I don't know what exactly you just saw, but I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you really did like it, go check out our other stuff. You know, we have social media, Facebook, Twitter. The link should be somewhere here. Also, we have other channels too. We have our movie, video game channel. We have our music channel. Obviously our comic book channel too, because we know we do all that entertainment awesomeness. We also have a website. Go to our website, hybridnetworkyt.com. And check out our other videos. That's all I really have to say. It's Josh, and I hope you guys enjoyed what you watched.